Perfect.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to take you on a short presentation. It's only about 8 slides, and a lot of me talking, unfortunately. It's going to take you through my last 9 months of working for Heineken, where we went from a conceptual idea of how we could do training in the workplace and the program, through to the adoption of how we had to change things and trying to make it an engaging and challenging, supportive safety program for people. Okay, so a blatant bit of plug-in to begin with. This is me and my colleague Jason Pryor, where we collected the FLTA Safe Site Award for Heineken Hereford several years ago. And that probably was the basis of me becoming an identified person, of knowing how we worked within safety within Heineken, especially within Hereford, and especially around forklift trucks, and how this was adopted within the Heineken company wider to improve on. One of the aspects you've seen here in the slides are the items that we knew were a problem to us. So we were aware that we had a high number of MHE safety events within the company. We also knew that there was research in the events and the root causes could have been better, easily work on it. We knew we worked in congested workplaces. We had some new breweries, which were spaced out, but also we had historic breweries and ways of working, which also led to congested workplaces. We had new equipment, we had some faulty equipment, we had equipment that was quite old. We had new employees that were unfamiliar with the tasks they were asked to do. And sometimes there's a pressure of work to try and get people quickly up to speed on this. One key thing was in there, so that a lot of these root causes were repetitive. We were seeing them across all the locations we had. So what we were looking at then was, to question ourselves within Heineken to say, how do you tackle these? Also, are you ambitious enough to address them? Is it something that you really feel you could go and do? And finally, probably the most important question is like, well, how do you start doing something like that? It's often is the piece that people forget about, and it scares them a lot. So what I'm going to tell you now is that what we did. Okay, so we created and designed 2 programs. One was to look at safe MHE driver training program, especially aimed at managers, an area that's often forgotten. Often we're very good on training operators, we're very good on training people that use the equipment, but often when you see people come in, maybe as graduates, as new managers into the business, do you really pick up that they have to be trained on how to manage a fleet of equipment for material handling equipment? Quite often the answer is no. And the second question we looked at was like, within the operations we're running, how often do you really know the risks that are in those operations? So we tried again to focus on, did we know the risks and how could we reduce the risks that are in those operations in our workplace every time? Okay. So within those risks you know of, you can think there's traffic and pedestrian routes, the frequency that these are used, the type of equipment that's in your areas to work with. More importantly, the responsibilities that people have as the users and as the management team of the company, that equipment and those activities taking place. So we wanted to make sure that the programs we made, they had to be engaging, they had to be simple to complete, and they had to be achievable and measurable. Really important things if you think about what you're trying to achieve. We also knew we were working within a global community. So we had to make sure that we were using words and demonstrations and materials which are transferable across a large area. And we ran made programs, we constructed them, we piloted them on ourselves, a very small group, and then we decided we had to do it a rollout. We had to prove that our work was really working. We chose 2 locations for 2 different types of projects. One was Croatia, quite an old brewery, established, successful, and was really ambitious to be involved. The second one was in Mozambique, which is a new brewery. Lots of different things, but also maybe a bit of a budget, lots of things to be ambitious with, and lots of space to go in there. Really good thing to go for. So these 2 pilots, we visited, we located them, and we had a great what we could look at in that program. From the feedback, we had to do a few corrections. We made some changes, and I'm going to talk to you about some of those in a minute. What we also saw was a huge success. These programs that we made in-house We didn't buy them in, we were buying these, we were making them in-house. We were able to be a huge success. We took them back to our Heineken supply chain leadership team, and thankfully they came back and said it's really good. We really like what you're doing. Make a delivery plan and get on with it, really. So in lots of ways, there's the answers you want from a leadership team to say we support you doing it. Now, one of the things that happened now, we know that this changed the world for everybody, and it still is. For me personally, I went from a position of where I have the passport, I will travel, looking forward to this really good role that I had of working, to suddenly being sat at home in my attic as I am now, having to deliver a program on a 6-month contract. And I really wanted to deliver this. It would have been very simple to maybe give up, to stop. I can't do this. I needed to be in the classroom. I needed my flip charts, my post-its to try and deliver these type of projects, and made sure we had that right engagement. Because one of the traits I had was a good engager of people and able to hold the classroom for that success. But no, I believed in these 2 programs. It was too easy to give up. I really wanted to be the success of it. And I think the importance is that these programs can save people's lives. And overall, that's one of the most important things you should remember. So we worked a little bit harder on it, and we had a thought. So as we all know, you can't stop. You have to adapt. You have to change. You have to continue to keep pushing the boundaries of what you're doing and to explore those type of things. So that's exactly what we had to do. And I discovered on the bottom of my laptop on the screen, I had this little icon that I'd been avoiding a little bit for quite a while called MS Teams. So Microsoft Teams looked like it was a tool to go with. Other people within the company were using it well, and we adopted it to go and have a look at, and quickly found how, rather than staying with our own traditional ways of working, we could work really quickly within that type of environment to get ourselves working. So the response was, we need to do it. We need to continue with the program. Where would we find the people we wanted to work with? So we reached out to the people we'd already engaged in some of these locations, mostly within Europe at this stage. And the answers we got back were, we can't do this program anymore. We have other focuses. We're also told we have no money. We can't continue to do these programs. And that was quite a difficult thing for us to think about. However, again, taking the top line to adapt, change, don't stop. We then remembered we have great skills within our employees. We went and asked them for some things. So we continued with the meetings on MS Teams, the fortnightly call to go and ask people we're progressing through these 2 programs. And we quickly discovered that people had great ideas. They had fantastic ideas that were 0 cost or were low cost. One that stuck with me a lot of the time, we're asking people to think about how many pedestrians walk through the warehouse environments. One of our colleagues in Serbia came back and said, and it's a fantastic line, he goes, if I lock the door on the warehouse grain for the pedestrians, I solve the problem. And in many ways, he's correct. He was able to reduce the amount of pedestrians going into his warehouse simply by locking a door to stop the pedestrians going. So I think it's an important thing for you to think about here, is when you have these problems that come forward to you, you can quickly find some answers by maybe stopping, looking, reviewing, seeing what you really want to do, see what your workplace is, and also involving the people you have doing those tasks. Now I'm going to tell you about some of the tools that we use and we discovered. And these have been great fun, and they've been frustrating as well, so I'm not going to tell you they're easy, but also once you've grasped the very first concept, a bit like having your smartphone for the first time, you'll discover how quickly they can be done. So we knew in our programs we wanted to grab attention. We wanted to be engaging straight away. Remember, we were trying to talk to a global audience of this. So we were sat in the early stages of the program in a hotel lobby, wondering how we could try and get this and put some ideas around. And we discovered we wanted to do a video, an entry video of it. And rather than it being me talking as now, we found these animation tools that are available to us. And of course, with all things you look and you Google, there's always free, try it free. So we thought we would. And as you see on the top left, how to, and we tried free. We made 2 videos. We made 2 videos in one afternoon. Okay, they're brilliant, really quick. We gave ourselves some rules. We needed to explain each of the steps. We wanted to engage our audience, and we had to make sure but the maximum time was 3 minutes. Really good, grabbed your attention, we got you in, we told you what the step was, we tried to engage you, and we tried to work with it. So these were our working goals. Things I encourage you to look at is go and have a look. There are lots of others of these animation tools out there for you to have a look at. They are very simple to use once you've grasped your past first, the first entry of how do I do this. Use their basic tools. If you want to use additional tools, they come with some slightly different charges. But again, I would encourage you, look at the charges, and you look at your time and the outcome that you could return from it. If you're worried about spending £60 a month on something where you can make all your videos, you could turn that money around so quickly for 2 hours bit of work working on something. You pay for 1 month, and you can gain some great work. I can assure you, Heineken have left with some fantastic videos doing this. One of the other tools we used, and I must admit this did scare the life out of me when I first was asked to use it, was an interactive whiteboard. Now, if you've seen these before and you use them, then well done, you're ahead of the curve, I think. If you're not, again, it's something to have a look at. Mural is available through MS Teams, but again, there's lots of other versions of it, and I'm not going to ask you to go in Mural. But if you think, I was running to the hills on this, I was really worried. I'm used to Post-its and posters and being in the classroom to do it. But within the pandemic, we were asked we couldn't work anymore. We couldn't travel. We had this fantastic project that was going around. We'd done Europe. We'd come back on the success of it. And we'd hit our timeline of doing 13 locations within the 3 months. Actually, within those 13 locations, we've seen an advancement. We were nearly at 50 locations now around the world, and we were hitting areas in Africa, Asia, America, and the rest of Europe to go and have a look at it. And it was really difficult to go and do. We wanted to engage these people, so we found this whiteboard was really good for us to use, and we were able to do everything you want to do in the classroom. As you can see, you could import things, you can put Post-its up, and you can have an open house of lots of people talking about lots of things at the same time, being interactive and making that team. We found this really helped for us to go and do it. And I would encourage you within this grasping of learning is be brave. Go and have a look at some of these tools to go and have a look at and try them. Maybe try them just within a small office and group first to see if it works, and then you can use it. These are options that you can make remote learning being fun for people to be part of and to go through. You'd like to know I'm getting close to the end of my slides now. I can take you back to one of the items we looked at. We used the first items very much around the mural and to use the power tune to engage operators into the risk reduction techniques of what we were looking for. But one of the items that's really close to my heart is making sure that managers are responsible for knowing their responsibilities with it. And one of the e-learning tools we looked at was how do we manage our trainers and how do we train our managers, into this. One of the tools that I've liked a great deal is the mentor training for managers. And this we took as a UK option. We did two. We did one as a classroom and then also as the e-learning model within the UK. We found that we really liked it. And then we decided to take it to Mozambique to trial it in Mozambique with the people that were there. And found huge success for it as an e-learning course to go and do. And part of the items we left within my time at Heineken was able to leave that with them to then adopt that to be part of their future training to go for their managers to take forward that. Now, there are other e-learning people that provide you with similar systems to go and do that, to bring in good management. And I would encourage you again to advance towards e-learning, to go and have a look at e-learning for training people. It will never replace the fact of seeing the whites of somebody's eyes and being able to train and see if they've understood it. I completely understand that and I agree with that. However, by taking e-learning, it can maybe take an hour or 2 days, perhaps, off a training event, which then, obviously, in the current climate, reduces the risks you have with items. You're able to then develop through gain time, add value back into the person before the trainer or the assessment. And finally, I'll leave you with my final slide for this today. So within my 9 months of Heineken, this is the project I was on. I was able to deliver that. My contract ended in August. I was really pleased to say that I felt I handed over a successful project for people to work with material handling equipment safely in their environments that they were safe to work within. And we also advanced the way we're able to do it. So we looked very much like post-its and posters at the beginning and physical visits. Again, we advanced ourselves in our knowledge where we were able to use modern techniques, not be stopped by the virus that was around to prevent you thinking you couldn't do things, but to continue the hard work of trying to promote safe working environments and everything. Okay, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to my call, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the presentations today.